UK mosque says it's okay to hit your wife. Well, that's not really a surprise to us here, but it might be surprising to some people. In a shocking revelation, two UK mosques, An-Noor Masjid in Birmingham and Muhammadi Masjid in Bradford, have come under fire for hosting sermons that appear to condone domestic violence and marital rape. The mosques, both registered charities for the advancement of religion, uploaded YouTube videos in September of 2024 containing deeply controversial content. Islamic leader Mahamed AbdurRazaq stated that if a wife refuses sex and the other methods don't work, a husband is, quote, allowed to hit her and shake her as long as he doesn't bruise or break bones. Similarly, Muhammad Huzaifah argued that women need their husband's permission for voluntary fasts, citing the husband's rights, because if she's fasting, then he can't have sex with her. So if it's a voluntary fast, then she therefore needs his permission. The National Secular Society reported these sermons to the Charity Commission, leading to the video's removal. Megan Manson, the organization's head of campaigns, condemned the sermons, stating, quote, the patriarchal ideology spouted by these preachers can fuel misogyny, discrimination, and violence against women and girls. This incident has reignited debates about religious freedom, charity regulations, and women's rights in the United Kingdom, calling for a review of the advancement of religion category as a charitable purpose, because both of these organizations are registered charities in the United Kingdom. And because of this, they've been referred to the Charity Commission. And I have no faith, honestly, that the Charity Commission will do anything about this, because they haven't demonstrated that they will in the past. So let's start with watching the segment from one of these preachers. Okay, here we go.
She, for example, refuses to have intercourse with him.
Wait.
Go from the beginning.
Yeah.
Nushuz here means she, for example, refuses to have intercourse with him. Then he gives her admonition. If she comes back to intercourse, then khalas. If it doesn't benefit and she continues to refuse having intercourse with him, فإن أظهرت نشوزا هجرها, she continues in that, he boycotts her, meaning he doesn't sleep with her in the same bed. He doesn't leave the house, he's still in the house, but he doesn't sleep in the same bed as her. He abandons sleeping with her in the bed. فإن لم يردعها ذلك, if that doesn't, I said 4, right? Sorry, it's 3. If that doesn't help, then he's allowed to hit her a hitting that does not bruise and that does not break bones. Meaning, مثلا, he shakes her or the likes of the like.
So he's getting that from this Quranic verse. I could show, but go on. You do your explanation before I bring the Quran.
Oh, well, one thing I wanted to highlight that was highlighted when the National Secular Society was covering this is that in these sermons, like they believe that, and I'll go into some of the other details about what the other guy was preaching, but that there were like children watching this, because in other clips of the videos of the sermon, they're like, oh, like let's bring the children closer so they can hear everything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a second. Okay, so you're preaching this to kids. That's great. But
that
Armin,
makes it rape, basically. That makes it, well, should I say rape? That's basically, that makes it, that if you have, so basically the idea is that if your wife refuses sex to you, right? First you give her the silent treatment for you to, first you ask her, like, tell her, like, hey, listen, I'm your husband, you're my wife. When I say I want sex, you give me sex, right? And if she doesn't give you sex, first there's 3 steps. First, you give her the silent treatment. Basically, you don't talk to her, so she understands that this is not allowed. Second, you basically kick her out of your bed. She doesn't get to sleep in your bed. And if she still refuses to give you sex, then you get to, actually, this is wrong. Here, look, you see, it's not that you get to, it's not that you are allowed to hit her. If you actually read the Quranic verse is actually worse. You have to hit her, because if you look at the verb, azrabahunna is a command verb. It doesn't say you have the permission to hit her, it commands you to hit her. And this is from all sorts of um, any form of disobedience, not just sex, right? So women are supposed to be listening to their husband. Women are supposed to be providing sex with their husband. Any form of disobedience would lead to, look at this. So when it says first, everything you see in brackets is not in, it's not actually in the Quranic text, right? So it says first advise them, then if they persist, forsake them in bed, and finally strike them. And when it says lightly, and that guy also says like shake them, this lightly you can see it's in brackets, which means that it's nowhere to be found in the Arabic, the original text. So see this one in bed. Azrabuhunna means hit them, strike them. To the place that they get the, when they say lightly or like in a way that she doesn't get bruised, that doesn't come from the Quran, that comes from the Hadith. As if, and it's good that they say that, because when they use the defense that we're supposed to hit them lightly, it shows that they're confirming that the hitting is there, right? Because if the lightly was not there, they would say like, oh no, Quran doesn't tell you to do that. But because they think that lightly is a good defense, then they have to confirm that the hitting is there. So that works in our favor that they come up with saying lightly, because that actually shows how violent, disgusting this is. But even if it does, even if the Quran meant lightly, the fact that it doesn't include that in the original text and you have to include it here in the translation, even though it's not in the Arabic text, shows that the Quran is not perfect. Like as a Muslim, if you think the Quran is perfect, this likely that people included in the translation, if it was in the original Arabic text, that would have been an improvement. If it's not an improvement, then why do you have to add it to the translation? So people who say that the Quran is perfect and it cannot be improved, would it not, given that you keep adding the lightly to the translation, would it not have been an improvement if this was added to the actually original Arabic text, so that there's no misunderstandings about this? So that's actually a bigger problem for Islam. The fact that the people put lightly in the translation and it's not in the Arabic text, that's actually a bigger problem for Islam than the fact that it has wife beating in it, because that's an admission that the Quran could be improved. But anyways,
one other thing that I wanted to highlight was that the other preacher, who I don't have a video of, let's go through some of the things that he was preaching. So basically he was saying that hitting wives who repeatedly refuse sex is acceptable, saying if a woman refuses to have sex, then the husband can give her advice and admonish her, and then refuse to share a bed with her, which is completely covered in that verse we just went through. And saying if that doesn't help, then he's allowed to hit her and shake her as long as it doesn't bruise her or break bones, like that guy just said. But then he goes further and he says it is the minimum right of the husband that his wife has to listen to him when he commands her, specifically even more so when it comes to intercourse. If he asks for it at any time, it is his right for her to accept and obey him, and that is the highly stressed right of the husband. And then the wife should agree to have sex right away and without delaying or showing dislike for it, or that they are being forced to do it. And that if a wife does refuse sex, she has no right to financial support from her husband. This is according to him. Then basically saying if a Muslim woman has any problem with this, then like they're not like serious about marriage. If a person who's serious about marriage should not give any attention to the doubts of the feminists and the kuffar. Like, oh shit.
Can I bring you a hadith about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Here. So this is Sahih Bukhari. So guys, remember this is Sahih. That means that it's a very authoritative source, authentic part of Islam. There's no way to separate this hadith from Islam. Especially when it comes from Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. right? So Allah's messenger, meaning Muhammad, says Allah's messenger, sallallahu alayhi said, if this is what Muhammad, this basically exactly a quote from Muhammad himself, according to Islam, right? Says if a husband calls his wife to his bed, i.e., to have sexual relation, and she refuses and causes him to sleep in anger, the angels will curse her till morning. Remember, one curse of an angel will is devastating. And Muhammad is telling you that the angels will continue to be cursing you all night till morning if you basically refuse sex to your husband and she gets angry. That's this means that basically this is endorsing grape of your wives in Islam. That's what it is. Oh, Susie left right when I was finished. Susie, maybe I should do the song now. Let me see what you guys are saying in the live chat. Yes, marital grape. Exactly. Oh, she went and got tea.
When no, I went to go get coffee and my
Mm.
boyfriend already drank all the coffee. I'm devastated.
Oh no.
Well, okay, let me be clear. When approached for comment, when
Mhm,
we like to give people a full picture, full transparency. When approached for comment, these
mhm.
masjids did say that they do not endorse marital grape.
Well, because they redefine marital grape. They don't even okay, because they don't even recognize this as grape. When they say they don't endorse marital grape, it's because they think when you forcefully have sex with your wife, as long as that's done within the boundaries of marriage, it's not grape. That's what their definition of grape is different from ours. Oh, by the way, also, so the UK, what happened? What was the legal consequences for these people saying these things in the UK?
Nothing.
Like, what did they do? No, okay, but there were shut there are some reactions to this. Like, there is a pushback, there is some investigation, there is something. I'm just
Not
saying that,
really.
okay.
I mean, the
Because if
National
they want to,
Secular Society like keeps an eye on these things. When they find instances of these things, they report them to the Charity Commission. This got picked up in the Telegram. The Telegram approached them for comment. When the Telegram did that, they removed the video. But besides being reported to the Charity Commission, like I have no knowledge of anything else happening. And the Charity Commission is notorious for literally doing nothing. That's what I said earlier. I have zero faith that the Charity Commission of the UK will do anything about this, to be honest.
Mhm. Okay.
Which means
Well, fuck.
that these people get charity status in the UK, subsidized essentially by the UK taxpayer to continue to preach this bullshit.
Okay. Well, goddamn. I mean, we respect people's. I mean, we want people to have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you can't shut down institutions. Shutting down their institution doesn't mean that their free speech is violated, because they could carry on talking about these things as individuals. You, having free speech, that doesn't mean that you have the uh, you can enjoy the privilege of having a charity or an institution while spreading your bullshit. Like, you
No,
could
no, let's go
free
one
speech.
step back. Let's go one step back. It may not necessarily shut down their institution. Will just strip them of their tax exempt status.
Yeah. So
Why do you
yeah,
deserve
sorry.
that? That's not a violation of your free speech. You just
Yeah,
don't
there's
get to
three
be
levels.
exempt from taxes in a charitable purpose.
Yeah, so there's three levels, and I don't agree with one of them, but I agree with the other two. The first, the most insane, the most dictatorial level is for you to basically tell them that they cannot even say these things as individual, or else they would be arrested or fined. Okay, so that is too much. The second level is like, fine, you could say these things, but your institution will be shut down, and that is not a violation of your free speech, because you are still able to say these things as individuals, right? The third level is not to shut down the institution, but at least not get them a exempt status. Like, why are you tax exempt while you're spreading poison? So I agree with the second and third level. Like, I mean, at least go all the way. not only they're not going to the level that I agree that they shouldn't even be allowed to have an institution, they're actually tax exempt as well. Like, this is insane. And this, again, this is no violation of free speech to basically shut them down, or at least not give them this privilege of being tax exempt. It's
Oh, this
insane
is
that
why I'm
they're
in huge.
allowed it.
There's a bill in the United States right now, Senate Bill 4136, which is working to update the IRS tax code so that they can strip the 501c3 nonprofit status of terrorist supporting nonprofits. Because
Mhm.
our current tax code doesn't
It's
allow us to do that. So go talk to your elected
so
representatives about Senate Bill 4136, by the way, guys. It's an important one.
look how slow we're moving. We're discussing whether people who are supporting terrorists should be able to have tax exempt status. Like, is
Oh, and you
this
want
even
to
a discussion?
I'm
Oh,
sorry for interrupting you. You wanna know what the
no,
real
no, no.
kicker
Go ahead.
is? Do you wanna know who came
Yeah.
out against Senate Bill 4136?
Who?
The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, came out
Hmm.
against this bill because they said that it is against Palestinian dissent. I
Unbelievable.
swear to God. They're like, "This is gonna disproportionately people who are dissenting, blah, blah, blah." And this is
Unbelievable.
clearly just done because of Palestinian dissent. I'm like, if we're talking about stripping the tax exempt status from people that support terrorists, and the first thing that you start to do is talk about Palestinians, I think that says more about you than it does about us.
True.
Yikes! These are the progressives, guys. As a side note, the ACLU and Planned Parenthood has also defended child marriage in California and Illinois. Where in California there is currently no minimum age for child marriage. So these are our progressive bastions, guys, in the United States. Shocking, but true. Defending the legal mechanisms for children to enter a sexual contract and loopholes that exist for statutory rape. The ACLU. Ay, ay, ay. How can Susanna swear to God while she is an atheist? Because it's fun.
How are you gonna stop her? How? Who's gonna stop her?
Yeah.
You and what army is gonna stop her?
No, honestly, it's because when I was growing up, my mom, to be honest, was like would get on my case about if I said, "Oh my God."
Hmm.
She didn't even like it if I said "Jeez," because she's like, "That's short for Jesus, Susanna. You can't say that. You can't take the Lord's name in vain." So when I do it, it's like a little childhood hangover thing. Like I'm like, "Oh my
Hmm.
God." Like I used to get in trouble for that. Not anymore. I'm no I'm kidding. I'm so dramatic. Um
All right, read the
Oh my
super chats.
God.
I'm gonna go for buy a bake while you read the super chats. Be right back.
Okay. Okay, so let's go through the super chat. GJ gave a super chat saying, Susanna, I think you might love Sam Benton's life story. Okay, this is a little bit of a diversion. Sam Benton's born Sarah in 1972, lead singer of Kay's Choice, was first married to a man, then came out as a lesbian at age 25, then married to an American woman, and transitioned uh, at age 47 and is now a straight man. Well, that's interesting. Um, HD Drake gave a $20 super chat. Thank you. That's very generous. Saying, random question. What do you guys think of the term paleo liberal? I've never heard of the term paleo liberal. I mean, I've heard of the term
That's
paleo
classical
conservative.
liberal. That's just like
Paleo,
classical liberals.
is it?
Yeah, I think you're just talking about classical liberals.
Let me double check because that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
Okay, let
So
me.
refers to an older form of liberalism focused on classical liberal values like individual freedom, limited government, free markets, and civil liberties. It contrasts with a modern or progressive liberalism, which often emphasizes social justice, government
Mm,
intervention, and equality of outcomes.
that's a classical
So
liberal.
yeah, that's just a classical liberal. Yeah.
Um,
So
well,
I
I
like
like.
to I like the emphasis of classical liberalism on well-being. Well, okay, so instead of classical versus more recent forms of liberalism, um, I tend to focus more on the ones that are empirically focused and also focus on well-being rather than justice. I don't like any form of liberalism that has an obsession over any form of justice. I don't think justice is what we're fighting for. I think well-being is what we're fighting for. Justice only Justice is only a goal only when it serves in improving well-being. I don't like the Kantian models of liberalism. I prefer the utilitarian forms of liberalism. And if there's anything good about classical liberalism, is is its emphasis on improving well-being and it having a utilitarian focus. But we do have that in more recent, like right now in modern liberalism, we have so many different kinds that are also focused on a utilitarian model that is focused on increased well-being. I don't like this division between classical and more recent progressive ones because we even in modern times we have very good, like I mean Hayek, for example. If you look at if you read Hayek, he's a lot more recent. He emphasizes classical liberalism, but he also adds a whole bunch of stuff that you cannot read in classical liberal work that I think are a very beneficial addition to liberalism. So again, I do appreciate classical liberalism, but I don't want to have to always go back to the past. I do also appreciate some of the more modern things that have been added, as long as they're not Kantian, as long as they don't focus on justice and they focus on well-being instead. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I was also looking up a definition here that seems to say that paleoliberalism is more concerned about it has more of an economic focus, but
Yeah. So classical liberalism is I mean liberalism as a whole should have a free market focus. When you focus on social justice and equality, that's when you are that's when justice and equality become a goal of their own without actually considering what makes people's lives better, right? So one benefit of classical liberalism is that it focuses on free markets and capitalism, because nothing like free markets and capitalism improves people's lives. Nothing if it comes even close. But the more progressive brands of liberalism lose that focus. But again, but we in modern times we have brands of liberalism that understands how much the free market and liberals and uh, the free market and the economy matters as well. So this is not a divide between classical and modern, because in modern we also have that focus. I mean, just go read Hayek, for example.
Okay, next super chat saying, thank you, Monologic, saying, I saw a clip that states Nasrallah in Russian means took a shit. I thought that was funny. Funny if true. Can any Russian speakers in the chat confirm? Gajan is saying, can I get a kinky jinn to accept the angel's curse? So the jinn wants to be cursed by the angels because he likes it. I don't know. You might have to do some Jewish black magic to get that to work. Who knows? Who knows how these things work? Okay, GJ has taken a contention with you again, Armin. Saying, Armin, you don't write dictionaries. The people do. Languages are alive, and the dictionaries follow. For instance, the term Jeep was redefined at least 3 times in just 10 years, from 1936 to 1946.
Yeah, that actually
Or
proves
how do
my
you
point.
answer?
Yeah, that actually proves my point. Actually, GJ, you're doing a logical fallacy called appeal to dictionaries. And And also the appeal to dictionary, it contradicts what you're saying later, which is languages are alive. So just because something is in the dictionary, that doesn't mean it's the way that people use it. Language is alive. That means language is, when you say language is alive, that you're actually making my point. So because words are meant to be used for us to communicate, the definitions that is being used the most is the definition that has the highest utility. So an appeal to the most highest usage would not be a logical fallacy of appealing to popularity. And because atheism by atheists right now is being used mostly to refer to a lack of belief in God, therefore my definition is correct and your definition is incorrect. And you're also doing a logical fallacy called the straw man, saying you don't write dictionaries, as if, GJ, that's a logical fallacy because I never said that I write dictionaries. You don't know. If you don't understand my argument, please do not assume what my argument is. I am basically using the definition that has the highest utility, which is based on how people use it. And people are using it based on a lack of belief in God. And if you don't like it, that's you, you're by yourself, and you don't get to change how people use words. There's your answer.
Okay, so GJ also saying, Susanna, are you aware of the Supreme Court of the United States totally neutering the powers of the IRS, the FDA, the EPA, the SEC, and the NHTSA, all the agencies to regulate and protect you Americans by canceling the Chevron doctrine in late 2024? I love doing a dramatic reading of his super chats. Yes, I am aware of this happening. I have not been following this issue closely, and I have seen strong arguments in favor of this and against this. So I don't have strong opinion on this. Seems like maybe some things about it could be very positive, some things about it could be very negative. I'm not going to pretend that I know something I don't, and I'm not going to pretend to have a strong opinion on something I don't. Because I try to be intellectually honest.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.